Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to our fireside chat. We've got with us our speakers, Dr. Anirban, Maya John, and Pamela Lee. Unlearning Success, the Journey Matters. This session invites us to rethink what achievement truly means. It's about recognizing that the past victories, while they are valuable, can sometimes create blind spots. And this conversation will explore how leaders and professionals can let go of old habits, challenge the assumptions that we make, and embrace learning from or through failure, experimentation, and curiosity, because it's the journey, not just the destination, that shapes lasting growth and impact. To steer this fireside chat, we've got Anirban Bhattacharya, who I'd like to invite up on stage, the co-founder, The Painted Sky, a company that uses art-based methods for leadership development and innovation. His profile includes over 30 years of experience in areas like design thinking, leadership development, and innovation consulting, having worked with major corporations across multiple countries. He's also an investor and managing partner at 7th Gen Ventures. Our speakers, please welcome Maya John, the CHRO at Agratas, a Tata enterprise. A seasoned professional, Maya has over 20 years of experience in organization and talent development, providing strategic HR business support for building and scaling teams, working closely with executive leadership teams. And with Maya and Anirban, we've got Pamela Lee, Chief Operating Officer, AnitaB.org, a certified public accountant. She's an experienced financial and operational leader with a track record of scaling mission-driven organizations and startups. Pamela has grown organizations from early-stage ventures to multi-million-dollar stages. So it's over to you, Anirban.
Thank you so much, and I love that sari. Hi, everyone. How's the energy going? Great. You know, they say that whatever you hear 30 minutes before lunch, you forget. And we are just about 30 minutes before lunch. So we are going to keep this to 30 minutes, I promise you. No extra gyan. We'll just stay on our ball. And so thank you for making it. And thank you, Maya. Thank you, Pam, for making it. Somebody just pointed out we are color coordinated. So thank you for keeping that in mind as well. So this is going to be fun. So see, just a quick context, okay? I've been in industry for 31 years now, and we've been working with leaders for 31 odd years. Never have we seen this kind of disruption as we are seeing today, from geopolitics, generational, socioeconomic, cultural, all kinds of things are changing. And in that context, what is a leader? Who is a leader? What is the leadership journey? I think everything's getting upended, everything's getting redefined, redesigned. And I think that is what we would love to talk about, and we'd love to hear from you. But in all things that I host, I always love to start with personal stories, because your personal is your professional. It informs each other. So, Maya, tell us about you, your story. How are you here? Take it away.
Hello. Hi everyone. I will say it's a bit intimidating to be on a stage of this scale and to see all of you. It seems a bit distant, but we'll do our best to connect. I think I would introduce myself as a small town girl who never thought I would be on stages like this. Just, you know, I think sheer focus to want to do something. I think a sheer passion to make a difference to the world, however small or big, in my lifetime. And that's really what's driven me. Very blessed to have a lot of support in that journey. But I would say a lot of hurdles as well. But happy to share, you know, any stories or anything that might connect, might relate to all of you. And I will just say this, that if you put your mind to something, anything is possible, anything. And I think that the team here is testimony to that. Pamela is part of that team. And I think all of you sitting in the audience, you aren't here because of nothing, right? I mean, you've obviously done things to get here. So let's continue inspiring each other. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think for me, if I go back early in my childhood, grew up in a single mother household, watched my mother struggle to provide, and so for me, it was like I didn't want to follow in those footsteps. I appreciate everything she did for us, but I wanted to be more financially stable and also change the world. And so I focused on my education. It's the one thing I can control. And so focusing on that and just having this like persistence of I'm going to get up out of this state of poverty that I really came up in as a child. And through that and hard work and dedication and several successes and failures along the way, I've ended up here on this stage. So I'm happy to be here today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I expected longer stories, but we'll work with this for the time being. Thank you. We'll catch up after. So, before today's session, we had a call, and I loved the stories of change and flexibility. I mean, you're an engineer who's now in HR. You have a very diverse background as well, looking into finance. So changing, adapting, these are obviously, I think, universal leadership traits. If I ask you, Pam, let me start with you. What would it be now if you look at 2030 as a horizon? What are some of the things that the new leader, new age leader should look at, or we should look at in them, and what, therefore, they should develop?
That's a great question. I mean, we have the way the world is changing right now. We have to just think that what has always worked for us isn't going to continue to work for us, and come at it with a mindset of curiosity, to really try things differently. If you're continuing to hit against a wall, like look at it differently, look at a different perspective. I think that's the biggest thing for me right now, I think, is just having that different kind of mindset of curiosity and being able to try things different. Don't be afraid to fail, right? Because that's how you're going to learn and be able to change and pivot from that.
You talked about failure in a big way in that call. I would love you to expand on that idea. What do you mean by not be afraid to fail? What can that really mean for people?
Yeah, I think especially women have this extreme desire to be perfect all the time and successful and never do anything wrong. But really, the idea of failure is something that we don't talk about either as women. It's almost like you have this sense of shame if you fail, but you really aren't going to learn if you're not failing. I'm a big fitness component or fitness advocate. I strength train almost 3-5 times a week, and when you're strength training, the idea is that you lift weights to failure until your muscle fails, and that's actually how you grow your muscle. You can apply that into work, right?
Wow, okay.
Or your daily life. Like, you want to learn and grow, you're going to have to fail a little bit and try things to figure out what's going to actually be successful.
Wow, okay, that's a great analogy. Maya?
I will say that there's a lot of things that have changed. I think the first thing is, if I take myself, 20 plus years, I've done different roles. You think you're God's gift to mankind. You take on an executive role, and then you realize nothing matters. You have to start from scratch, because your credibility. So basically, in executive roles, there are two most important things, right? Trust and confidence. These are not things there's no formula to it, unfortunately. It's things that you grow through your career and your credibility, of course. So one is to be humble and eat humble pie sometimes, to know that, hey, you have to always, every day is a new day, and you have to start that day fresh. Especially in senior roles, it's also about the extended team, how are they doing, what are their successes, and all of that. So it becomes a lot less about you and a lot more about the people that you work with and the people that you lead. So that was the first big revelation as a senior person, as a senior leader. I think the second is, who are we leading? You know, so the next gen, all of you in the audience, I think you're quite irreverent, right? You don't care about brand. You don't care how many years of work ex somebody has. You are more interested in, okay, who are you really and what do you bring to the table? So I think understanding who you lead or attempting to lead is also a big part of it. And a lot of unlearning, which is very easy to say, because you've built your life learning things and now you have to unlearn a lot of things. So I would say never a dull day, never a dull moment, but that's also the fun of it, yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm going to go back at both of you over this, okay, because we work with a lot of companies around the world, a lot of leaderships around the world, and the conversation is that, yeah, embrace failure, celebrate failure, learn from failure, etc. But how many organizations really have an appetite for that? And how much of this is lip service and how much of this is real? Particularly if you look at it through the lens of women, considering I think we've got three kinds of audiences in this crowd here. Early career, mid-career, and those probably who are exploring things outside. How would you ask them to do this? Humble pie, train till fail. I want you to give me examples. I want you to give me stories if possible. Where have you seen this? How have you done it yourself? And what are the learnings therefore? Give me the how, not the what. Sorry, tough question.
I can give you two. I'll give you a personal
Amazing.
one and a professional one. How's that? So I'll go way back personally. When I was trying to get my public accounting license, there's 4 tests you have to take to pass to get your license. And coming out of college and studying for those exams, I had this like level of almost arrogance in the way that I studied because I never really had to spend a lot of time studying for an exam. I had this way of just kind of reviewing my notes and everything worked out, right? So I went into these exams, failed all 4. And it's a lot of money investment, right? And it's a 6-month process because you have to wait so much time to take each one. I failed all 4. And so I'm like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, right? And had to kind of check my ego at the door a little bit. And went back to the drawing board and had to teach myself how to study. And go about it, relearn how to study, because I had to relearn a completely different way. And so once I did that, I was able to start being more successful. Did I fail a couple times? Yeah, I did. But eventually, I continued to learn. I passed my first 2. I failed the 3rd one. I passed the 4th one, and I continued to learn like what was helping me in taking these, and eventually passed all 4. But that for me, that was one of the things. Is like, okay, this isn't working. Let's look at a different way. I had to teach myself a new skill. And then professionally, I have done a lot of software implementations throughout my career. And there's been times where we're in the process of doing an implementation and it's just not working. Like, it's just, I've gotten to a point where I felt like we were just kind of pushing this thing across to the finish line just for the sake of pushing it across the finish line and say we implemented the software, but it really wasn't working and solving for the business needs. Or we were continuing to have to go back to the vendor and like change the scope of work. And you can't be afraid to call an audible. You can't be afraid to say, this isn't working, team stop, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's talk to the other leaders in our company and see what we need to do and where we went wrong. Do we not have the right people at the table, to the right business users at the table to be implementing this right? Do we need to go back to the vendor and change our scope of work? Do we need to just scrap this altogether and make a use case for why we need to use a different software or go a completely different direction? So being able to take those pauses and timeouts, reassess, and then move forward with the team. So it's almost like failing forward.
Fantastic. So I'm going to start by saying something that I don't think I've said in public, which is, I hate to fail. Okay, so it's not something.
I don't know anyone who doesn't. Shh.
But having said that, life is life, and you end up failing a lot. I mean, the list is long, but so initially I used to come at failure as, you know, how can this happen? So it's all like victim. Okay, I did everything. I tried my best. Me, everything, right? I mean, you're looking, I mean, yeah, probably the lens is wrong. So as these things happened, and as, you know, you have good people around you to help deconstruct failure, I think one of the things I've realized is, I think for me, failure hit very badly because I was trying to project that I'm good at something and I'm on top of everything, and I am. I mean, you know, you try your best, right? But I think if you just chill a bit, and if you just tell people, hey, I know this, but hey, this piece I may not know that well. Let's figure it out together. So I think the recipe for me is the more authentic you are, and which is not perfection. Perfection is, I think, the antithesis of being authentic. When you win or when you fail, I think it's an equal, it's kind of a win. Because if you're failing, that means, okay, you've tried something, you've been open about it, you can try something else, you can move forward. So I would say I think more failure helps. It's not something you look forward to, but it's something that happens. And the cliche thing of, you know, what happens after that, right, is what I would say. Just one piece I would leave with all of you is, please, I mean, whether you're early career, mid-career, you know, senior, please find those people, whoever that is, that you can call or connect with when you fail. Because that's the team that will help pick you up, help tell you how wonderful you are, and all the wonderful things you can do going forward. But whoever that is, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, whoever, but you know, find that tribe. I think Grace Hopper and, you know, celebrations like this are perfect places to try and find those tribes. But that helps.
I love that you said that it's what you do after, right? That's so critical. It's like, do you just accept the failure and move on? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes you're like, that's not worth moving on. Or is there a level of stubbornness, right? Because to be successful, you do have to have a level of stubbornness to continue to work past those failures and continue to like try different things. So it's like there's been times in my life where it's like, am I going to be stubborn and keep trying this and keep struggling? Because everything you do, there's a struggle. Yeah. It's just what is worth struggling for. And so it's very, I love that you said that. It's very critical what you do after.
Lovely. How difficult or different is it for a woman?
I have to be honest. I have not put the lens of, okay, I am a woman in front of other things like this is what I do, or these are my skills, or this is what I've, you know, accomplished. It hasn't come top of mind very often. It did come top of mind in my early days as a child. I think I had shared that story where, you know, I am part of a business family, my dad's side of the family, and it was so-and-so and sons. That was a big trigger point early in life. And I was like,
did you fight at home?
Huh?
Did you fight with your dad over this?
Yeah, I did. I'm like,
right, yeah.
What is this? Right? I mean, that was the only time probably it was so much in my face. So I would say that helped, because a lot of steps after that was, okay, I want to become the first woman engineer in the family. I want to change conversations at family weddings about women. It's not about, okay, who can we match so-and-so with? It should be about, okay, where is that cousin or sister or whoever, you know, what are they studying? Where are they going to work? You know, what do they want to do? What are their ambitions? So I would say, yeah, I wouldn't say it has come a lot in the way, but it's also about where you place that importance, right? So if you're walking into a room saying, okay, I'm the woman in the room, because all leadership teams that I've been a part of, I am, unfortunately, have been the only lady. including my current role. And that's something I am continuously trying to change. But yeah.
Pam.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressures for women and what success looks like for them. You know, I've always been very career driven and knew at an early age that I chose not to have children. And so, but there's this image of what a successful woman looks like that doesn't fit with the path that I chose. And sometimes it's very easy to compare yourself to other women or other people on that path, or what what society is telling you need to be. And kind of getting out of that mindset of comparing where you are in your page of your journey to others, right? Because they're on different pages and they're on a completely different journey. So it's just being confident and knowing and being your authentic self and what's gonna, what success is gonna look like for you, and taking the time to like really do that self-reflection and make sure you're on the path that you want to be on and not looking at others.
I just wanted to add something for the audience here, and I try and say this every time. Whatever version that you see on stage is 50 years in the making. Okay? Even 20 years back, totally different person. Slightly unconfident, not courageous, probably worried about, okay, what's happening with the rest of my colleagues and what is everybody else doing. Age does help, experience does help, life does help. I think our wish for all of you is that you should not take 40, 50 years to get to this level of... So when you're in executive roles, one of the things that is taken for granted is courage. Because you may be the last thing standing between a good decision and a bad decision. And you're one of 6 people, 5 people, 10 people in a room taking really tough decisions. If you don't have the courage to speak up, and in my role, I'm head of HR, I represent the people of my company, and if I don't speak up and don't say the right things, you get a second, you get literally a second to speak up. And if you miss that, you're gone. That courage takes time to build. Our wish for all of you is that you don't, take that much time, 40, 50 years in the making.
Okay.
But yes, yeah.
Lovely. I love the answers. Very authentic from the heart. Thank you both for sharing. So we're talking of a journey, and so far I realize we've mostly talked about the past. Now let's look forward. Okay, let's look at 2030. How is Pamela Lee and Maya John seeing themselves in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 2030? And what's going to help you get there? And out of that, sorry, I'm looking at the clock and I'm combining 3 questions here. Okay, that's first, visualizing. What's going to get you there? And out of that, therefore, would you ask, what's the one thing you would ask people, therefore, to pick up and probably also follow? Almost like a lead that you see this to take you there, and maybe that's something for others to practice as well. Considering where we are in the world, sorry, long question. Recently in Turkey, somebody told me that there are only 3 things constant in life. I mean, paraphrasing Benjamin Franklin: death, taxes, and AI. Keeping all of that in mind, the technology change, geopolitical changes, 2030, you, learnings, and message. Maya, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, I thought I had a couple of seconds to think through this. So I think, literally there's so much change going on. It is difficult to predict next month, forget 2030. But I would just share a few hacks that I use for myself. I think a big superpower that we all have that maybe we don't use enough is listening and observation. So it may not come across today, but I'm actually quite an introvert. This takes courage. This takes a lot of prep. But when you listen and observe, there's a lot of things you can pick up. And especially, again, in senior roles, because that's a theme of the session, executive roles, there's a lot of things that are not said and are not heard. So unless you have literally your eyes and ears open, you won't catch that. So I think that's one of the hacks I will use to go into 2030. I think that the second is less judgment, because you hear stories, you hear things that happen. It's very easy to roll your eyes and say, hey, how can that be? How can that person say it's something like that? Hey, how can that employee ask for that kind of work, equation? Listen to your audience, right? Listen to who you're working with, listen to who you're trying to lead, and the answers will come. Okay, what else? What was this?
And so what is the one thing? Okay, you have actually told us three things, or
Yeah,
two things.
okay.
Okay? But
Yeah.
you didn't answer the first question.
Which is?
What is Maya John, or what does
20
Maya John see herself as in 2030?
So so one thing that I'm very passionate about is how do I think I mentioned this earlier. So, okay, I'm just one person, but can I make a change in my lifetime? Can I leave the world a little better, right? So one of the things that I'm heavily involved in is two things. One is my day job, which is a Tata company where we are trying to set up a battery business from scratch in 2 countries. So it's nation building. It's once in a lifetime. You either,
Wow.
you get to do it. I mean, it's in your hands whether you want to bring it to life or not. We have some of our team members in this audience. It is tough, okay? It's not easy at all. But hey, if I were to help put a stamp on something like that, why not? Second is not work-related, which is, of course, my teenage sons is a separate project, which I won't start
Tell
here.
me about it.
But the third is something I'm doing with my alumni, XLRI. So we're probably the only alumni team in India as an MBA college that has come together to help increase the presence and impact of women in the workforce. It was just a call in COVID across multiple batches. And we were like, okay, I don't know what we can do, but let's try something. 5 years later, we've impacted 1,200 plus women, early career, mid-career, and senior. So what I just wanted to say is, if you put your mind to something, and if you find like-minded people, this is a big testament to that. It is possible, you can do it. You don't have to be a PhD of something or CHRO of somewhere. I'm just saying, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. Yeah.
You said 2030. I was like, oh, that's so far away.
You had time to think.
And then I was like, wait, that's not that far away at all. It's almost 2026. So 4 or 5 years from now, if I'm so blessed, I would love to continue to be doing this work with AnitaB.org and looking out at this audience and seeing it, quadruple the size. And I think, going into the future, and I would just say, kind of reiterating on some of the things that we've talked about is, with you, and you mentioned AI, and we haven't really talked much about that, but, I think
Actually, thank God for that.
I know. Continuing to approach it with the mindset of curiosity, and having an open mind and not being afraid to embrace it. We just had our US conference, and one of the co-founders of Siri said that humans replacing AI, or humans, AI is not going to replace your job, but humans using AI are going to replace your job. So embrace it, learn it. It is the future. I'm learning it. I know that if I want to continue to be an executive, I need to use it. So continue growing, continue learning. If you're not learning, you're dying, right? So I think that would be the best advice I would give people going into the future.
Super. So we're almost out of time, and I can see the clock. What would you want the one thing to be that your audience takes away from this conversation? Your learnings from this exchange, or what would you like to share back with this audience? Let's start with you. I'm sorry, I'm keeping this. I'm switching. No rest. No rest.
I think it's so easy to look at executive women and be like, oh, they're so successful, they've done everything right. And I can tell you I've failed no less than 100 times, if not several more than that probably. And I have my own insecurities and as well that I've struggled with. And so I think, again, just knowing that we're all the same. at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I have met some executives at very large organizations and been kind of intimidated and started talking to them and realizing they're just people too,
Yeah.
right? And so recognizing that, it kind of helps you see yourself as being able to step into that role someday too. There was a period where I never really saw myself as an executive person because I held these people up on a pedestal. And then I realized, like, wait, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I can do it better.
Lovely. Awesome. Thank you. Maya.
I would say, being in this room or being on the stage, wherever you are, there is a lot of privilege. We are all sitting here, I would say, especially the women, because of decisions that other women took for us. It may be our mums, it may be our grandmoms, it may be our dads, our granddads. But if those decisions were not taken, you and I would not be in this room. So I will speak, I always refer to my parents and my grandparents because they took decisions to invest in me. Of course, what I did with that is on me, but if they didn't do that, I wouldn't even have a chance, right, to even try and do something. So I would say always be aware of that we stand on the shoulders, especially the women, that we stand on the shoulders of other women that have gone before us. We wouldn't be here otherwise. And second is, it is a privilege. So please pay it forward. Coach that young colleague or cousin or somebody else, right, who may be lost and who may be wanting to, do bigger things than they're doing today. Be that kind, unjudgmental place that somebody can come and speak to. Please pay it forward. It's like a drug, I'm telling you, because the other piece that I was talking about, the alumni work that we do, we're all in very, very demanding day jobs. And yet somehow we find the time. It's like a drug. It's so self-fulfilling that it's amazing. And think about it. We all have one life to live. That's it. That's it. I lost 8 family members this year. It's hit very hard that you have only one life. Only one life. Do something kind. Do something good in your space. Maybe you don't have to change the world. Just change your neighborhood. Just change your workspace. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This was beautiful. Just being here. Great job by Grace Hopper again. And we live in a world where DEI is becoming a dirty word. To do this well, bring people together. Amazing work with the sponsors. I'm so inspired. Thank you so much. And this was a real no BS conversation. And I loved the authenticity. Thank you for your time, Pam. Thank you for your time, Maya. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you, Anirban, for steering that. Life lessons, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for our panel. The camera's there. You are being watched. Don't worry. You're also being recorded.